Hello, welcome again to another episode of the Long Gone Loser Rock Show, where today I have to talk about the Hard-Ons show I saw last night. So let's go. So last night, the Hard-Ons returned to the Bendigo Hotel right here in Melbourne. And for those who follow the channel and know who I am, you know that the Hard-Ons are one of my all-time favourite bands. They are up there with the Ramones for me. And so, every time I talk about them, it's always like, oh, you want to see the greatest Australian punk band? Go see this band, right? Because to me, that's what they are. They changed my life, and I've been a diehard fan ever since. So to see them play again, because they seem to come here a lot, which is great because it means I get to see them a lot. Although this time it felt like I hadn't seen them for ages, but it wasn't that long ago. It was like August, I think it was, when I saw them last, and now they're back in November. They did this big tour and stuff like that. Bucky was back on the vocals. Tim, who has been singing for him, obviously, for the last 3 albums and whatever, he was not there. He was absent. I gather it's because he's been doing all the You Are My stuff. They won an ARIA award. Congratulations to them. One of the most well-deserved bands to receive an award of such, because You Am I are fantastic and they've been going for a very long time. Although it's kind of weird though that the Hard-Ons haven't been accepted into the ARIA Hall of Fame yet. I don't know why that hasn't happened, but I'd like to think that it will happen. I mean, they've been going for over 40 years. I think it's about time that they get their accolades and their awards. I don't know why that hasn't happened yet. But anyway, enough of that. But cheers to You and I and Tim for getting that award. That is awesome. And it was a very cool speech to hear as well. Like Tim is a man of words, and he did a really cool, emotionally charged speech on collecting that award. And so it was good. It was good to see, and congratulations to them. It couldn't have happened to a nicer band. I've known Tim for a very long time, and he's been a supporter of my show and everything. And he's just a top guy. So I'm stoked for him, and also for Rusty, who I've been following since his days as crewmater. But anyway, this isn't about You and I, although I'm stoked. Very much stoked that they got inducted into the ARIA Hall of Fame, whatever that may mean. Either way, it's good when a band that is cool and is a great band with great songs gets recognised for their contribution to the world of rock and roll, just as they have. But anyway, last night, this was about the Hard-Ons. They came to the Bendigo Hotel and they absolutely slayed. It was awesome to go there because I got to hear some new songs. Yes, new songs I've never heard before. And I can tell you now that these new songs, oh my God, they are insanely good. There was a song called Carlos that I've not heard before, and that was just amazing. And then they had one written on the set list as new song, and I have no idea what the title of that is, but damn, that song was good. In fact, I recorded it for you, which you can hear right now. Now, I know it's hard to hear the vocals. Every time you're in the front row at the Bendigo Hotel, you can't hear vocals. It's just how it is. They should have a PA speaker that, is kind of in an area where it can direct down to the people in the first few rows, because if you're not standing, back where the PA is, you're not going to hear the vocals that well. Like, you're just not going to hear them. They're just, drowned out by the guitar noise and the drum noise. Either way, the set was phenomenal. They opened up with Circle Up Above. They played Sunny. Oh my God, what a great tune that is. If that's not one of the greatest pop tunes in Australian punk history, I don't know what is. But that song just rules. They played Humiliated. They played Hold Tight. And we got I Like You A Lot, which is awesome. I love that song. I really like that last album that they did, I Like You A Lot Getting Older or whatever it was. And I really like that album. I think that album is fantastic. In fact, I'm a one-eyed Hard-Ons fan because every record they've done has been fantastic. But I really liked that last album that they did. I thought it was very, very cool. We got to hear the song Midnight again, which is a great song. And I remember before that album came out, I remember seeing Blackie do a solo show and he played on acoustic that song. Midnight is such a fantastic song. So I was very, very stoked to hear that. What else do we got? Like I said, we got that Carlos song, and we got What Would Stiff Baiters Do, which is a fantastic song. That is such a good album as well. And they did Cockroach as well, which is in the encore. It wasn't written on the set list, but we got Cockroach, Where Did She Come From, Suck and Swallow, and Just Being With You. They were the 4 songs in the encore. But in this set, oh yeah, by the way, we got In Fool's Everything, which is, I love that riff, that down, such a killer riff. Then we got Chopping Block, I Do, and Plastic Bomb. We got Plastic Bomb, the cover of the song by I Feel the Darkness by Poison Idea, and they did it so good. I am waiting so much and so patiently for that album that they've done with Jerry A from Poison Idea. I cannot wait to hear it, because if that single is anything to go by, this album is going to be mind-blowing. Now, when they played the new songs last night, I said to Blackie after the show, I said, those new songs are fantastic. Is that from the Jerry A album? And he goes, nah, this is a whole new album, which is going to blow your mind. So they've got 2 albums in the works. So the Jerry A one that we're waiting patiently for, or maybe some of us are waiting impatiently, and we've got a brand new Hard-Ons record after that, or before that, whatever comes first. And I cannot wait to hear that. So yeah, going by what I heard last night, I am so excited for this new Hard-Ons record, as I always am for every Hard-Ons record. But still, they just released a best of type thing, which is like the soundtrack to their documentary, Most Australian Band Ever. So you can now get copies of that, but there's like 20 different variants of it. So you wouldn't have a problem being able to find a copy of this record. They had some last night at the merch desk, but I've already ordered the box set thing, so I'm waiting for that to get delivered. They have it on tape as well. So if you are interested in cassette tapes, they do have it on cassette tape as well. But yeah, I am so stoked to see how much is coming out for the Hard-Ons at the moment, and so much is happening for them, which is why it's still a travesty that they are not in the ARIA Hall of Fame or any rock hall of fame that they should be. Yeah. In fact, one day, I mean, this is a dream of mine, and it's something I've always wanted to do, and I would love to find some backer to help me do this, but I would really like to do a museum type exhibit of the Hard-Ons, where everything is there. You know, all the records, all the posters, artwork, everything that I could possibly find, t-shirt designs, whatever, all on display in like an exhibit, because they have such a detailed history of art, because, you know, Ray being their bass player and also being the band's artist, like there is so much in the Hard-Ons world that I think has not been seen by, you know, a mass amount of people. And so I do believe that one day, if I could ever get the means to afford to do it or whatever, I would love to somehow make a exhibit of, in, you know, that goes for like 3 or 4 months or something, that is just all the Hard-On stuff, like as much of it as I can accumulate and put in one space for everybody to walk through and see it. Because, you know, some of this stuff is very limited, and I feel that it's a shame that it just hangs in somebody's room or whatever and nobody else gets to see it. So I would love to make something like that, make it happen. I don't know how to do it though. I really don't. I wish I had the contacts to make something like that happen. I mean, for years I've been telling people that I want to open up an Australian Rock Hall of Fame, and not just focus on your In Excess or Midnight Oil or whatever, but focus on those, you know, small bands that have just been smashing it out for 10, 15, 20 years and still aren't getting the accolades that they deserve, but people should know about them. So I've always wanted to have this ongoing thing, and not just something that's only for a period of time, but something that is all year round, that people can come to in Melbourne and wander through and see a history of Australian music, like a history of Australian rock, and not just the heavy hitters, because, like, you know, you can go to the ACMI and see some stuff about AC/DC, but the whole world knows who AC/DC is, but not everybody knows who the Southern Fried Kidneys are. You know what I mean? So I want to do one day something like that. And, you know, I don't know, if someone wants me to curate that, I'll be more than happy to do so, because yeah, I think it needs to happen. You know, they've got a punk rock museum in Las Vegas now, which is incredible, but it doesn't have any Australian stuff in it, which I feel is very lacking. And we've had some Australian bands that have done some huge things, like, for example, You and I. We've also had Frenzal Rom who've done heaps of stuff, Body Jar, you know, the Hard-Ons obviously, but there are so many independent punk bands or underground rock bands or whatever that have done some great things, and I feel they've got so much to show the world, and everybody that comes through Melbourne or lives in Melbourne would love to see something like this, and for it to be a staple all year round, you know. So you pay your $20 to get in or whatever, and you get to spend as long as you want there, diving in and checking out all the history of Australian, from punk music, rock music, whatever, metal, the whole thing. You know, it's our music, and we should be so proud of it. You know, it's like, why aren't the radios playing more? Well, this is why we need a thing like this to show people that, hey, this is in your backyard. This is happening. This is what you've missed out on. You know, this is something that you can go see now. You know, I would love to do something like that. Anyway, I've gone way off topic here. I've got a bunch of songs from the Hard-Ons show last night that I want to share with you. So, yeah, this is them doing I Do, I Do, I Do. But anyway, that's it. That's everything I wanted to say. Thank you so much for watching this episode of the Long Gone Loser Rock Show, where I got to see the Hard-Ons again for like the 58th time or whatever it is. And again, super stoked on every single song that they played. The crowd went absolutely ballistic during the encore. Once those old songs hit, I mean, as much as I love the old songs, it's always great to hear the new songs. And I know the crowd always wants the old songs. I can understand the band's position of always wanting to move forward and not focusing on the history, but focusing on the future. And I get that. And it's always awesome to hear whatever they pull out of the bag. You know, like there's so many good songs that I would love to hear live that I've still never heard live, like Wishing Well. Oh my God, I know it's a Kesh song, but God damn it, I would love to hear that song live. That is one of my favorite Hard-Ons tunes ever. Same with Sri Lanka. What a great tune. You know, so many of their B-sides were too good to be B-sides. They should have been A-sides, you know. But anyway, I digress. The Hard-Ons last night's show was 10 out of 10, and I'm so happy that I get to live in this country where I get to see the Hard-Ons on a regular basis. And long may they reign. You know, they've been a part of my life since I was a kid, and I'm just so thrilled that they're still going to, and still releasing quality records, you know, still putting out great stuff the whole way through. And yeah, it's awesome. So kudos to the Hard-Ons for once again delivering a great set. And yeah, I look forward to the next show. Next year, I'm sure it will be. And who knows, maybe they'll tour with a really cool band from America and we'll get to see them play again. Take care of yourselves, look after each other, and go buy some records. Go buy some Hard-Ons records. Go buy some Australian bands records. And yeah, they're the ones who need it the most. Go out and support the Aussie bands because, man, we definitely do need it. Thank you so much. Take care of yourselves. Look after each other. Bye-bye.
Is there a disco on after? Yes. Is there? This is a serious question. Yes. Is there? Is there going to be some fucking cunt in a beret coming up here with some turntables later? I just want to know. How quickly do we have to back this shit up?